Welcome to Day Zero.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Day Zero with FOUNDIT. Today we're joined with one of our most recent leadership appointments, Michelle Valentic. Michelle, welcome on board.
Thank you.
It's actually a couple of months already on board, which we'll get into in a minute. But what I wanted to talk about today is you've had a long history in buyer's agency, a passion for operations, for systems and compliance, which we'll get into, and obviously been around the buyer's agency space for a very long time as well, and seen the evolution of that, which is amazing. Firstly, before we start, just to say thank you. We're so excited to have you on board and we feel very privileged to have you part of the team. So Michelle, just to kick things off, do you want to give people a bit of the background of where you grew up and some of the early days of your career as well?
So I grew up in Mornington, which was, great upbringing. We were very lucky. It was like a country town back then. So stayed in Mornington till my sort of mid-20s, where I just got very bored down there. There wasn't a lot to do. And I found that most people, the expectation was marry early, children early, and that just wasn't for me. So, so I moved up to South Melbourne with some girlfriends, and I ended up, after a few jobs, not really knowing what I wanted to do, I was introduced to financial planning. So I knew nothing really about the industry, hadn't studied it, so I joined my first financial planning company and started doing my course after work, and loved it. It was a big eye-opener to learn about what to do with money and set yourself up, and I loved it.
Yeah, it was a great way to start your career. And moving on from that, then went into buyer's agency from there?
So I would have to go into corporate super companies and present to them, which was quite funny because I was in my sort of mid-20s telling people what to do with super.
Yeah.
I had no idea myself really. But one of the things I was told was when I sat down with someone, if they had an investment property, I was to convince them to sell the investment property and put it into managed shares or super, so that obviously we got a commission, and it just didn't sit well with me. I found it really hard to be dishonest that way. And also at that time, property was booming. Yeah. So to tell someone to sell their investment property and put it into, their superannuation just didn't sit right. And so I made the move over into buyer's advocacy, which was very unknown then. There were probably 3 or 4 companies in Melbourne, which are still around to this day, but it was very new. Yeah,
and it's been really interesting, which we've spoken about a lot in terms of buyer's agency's been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
Originally started, some argue Melbourne, some argue Sydney, somewhere around in between. But what we've seen over the last few years is that industry explode and completely change as well from what it was, which we'll come to that a little bit more in a minute. But I think what was interesting is that obviously you've made the transition from coming out of financial planning and super funds into property and advising people around property. But what ended up happening is you actually ran the business as opposed to being a buyer's agent.
Yeah, so I came in, the company just kept growing, so I came in to set up systems, procedures, manage staff, and I had no idea. I've never worked in real estate before, so I had to learn pretty quickly. But I loved it. It was evolving so quickly, so setting up, all the procedures. Plus, we started a rent roll because what we found is we bought an investment property, we gave amazing service, but then we'd hand them over to an agent and they were always disappointed. So we started a property management division, and then the same thing happened with Owners Corporation. We just found we were just getting so many complaints, we opened that. So we sort of went from a small company to having 3 full divisions, and then coordinating across all 3 of them. So, it was a very busy job, but I learnt so much.
And I think you're being quite subtle, but it was probably the largest buyer's agency in Victoria, and obviously one of the biggest in the country as well for a very long time as well.
Yeah, and it was exciting. And as I said, property was just, anything you bought went up week on, week off. Yeah. It was an exciting time to be in the property industry.
And predominantly Bayside?
No, everywhere. So one of the things we did was really look for what was emerging. So, and if you looked at our rent roll, it went from Frankston to Bulleen to Werribee. So Saturday opens were always fun if you're driving everywhere. But we always looked at what was emerging. So we bought in Footscray way before it became, popular. Frankston, Werribee, Dandenong. So So initially we did start buying in Elwood.
Yeah.
And then once Elwood sort of capped, that's when we started moving out. So our clients bought all over.
And one of those things is obviously you were growing it. It wasn't just a few of you were growing quite a big team in there as well. And Thomas Giorgio, you take credit for teaching him everything he knows as well.
Yeah.
What's some of the insights that you've seen over the journey of what makes a good buyer's agent? And what are the key differences probably that you see between a buyer's agent and a sell-side agent as well?
Yeah. So I think a buyer's agent, there's so many in the space now. I think it's good for the industry, but then it's also bad in one way that I think there's a lot that probably shouldn't be there. But a good buyer's advocate needs to really think long term. So you don't just buy anything to get the client through and get a commission. You need to get the right property for them. And, if you do a good job and they save money on it, they'll refer you to other people, but they'll come back to you as well.
Yeah.
And you're helping them, get ahead. So I think they need to understand the client's needs. They need to know the market, but they also need to be patient and buy the right property. And I think that's where some of them sort of stumble, that they just think it's just buying anything and it's not. And I think that's where Tom, I know I take credit for it, but no, Tom had a lot of experience when he came to us, but he's always made sure he does the right thing by his client, and it shows. He gets so many referrals.
Yeah, he is a referral machine. Even coming off the tools and running the team now, he still gets referrals
every day.
Yeah.
But it's because he's done the right thing by people, and he's passionate. He wants to get the best deal for his clients.
How would you explain to listeners who might not actually know what a buyer's agent is, or might be thinking, like, what's the difference between a buyer agent and a seller agent? I don't get it. I thought the same thing.
So, I mean, I think I did hear someone say the other day, you'd have 30, 40, 50 people come through, looking at a property with a sales agent. Even if they've got staff that just look after buyer management, they're not really there to look after the buyers. They're there to get the best price for the vendor. That's their job. So the buyer's advocate's role is to make sure that the client buys the right property, is educated along the way, and it's often the properties that you reject, that make a buyer's advocate who they are. Not, clients sometimes just get emotional and want something, but it's not going to be a good long-term investment. Even for a home, you want to make sure that it's getting growth, and when they sell it, they can. Where some people just look at the furniture and how it looks. You've got to look at the orientation, where it sits in the street. Is it going to resell well?
The other thing you've had experience in is strata as well.
Yes, that was quite a learning curve.
Do you want to explain to people what strata actually is?
Yes, it's actually very important. Buying in an apartment block or, you have a strata unit set up. So once there's more than, I think, 4 owners, you need to set one up. And then you'll have a strata company manage it, and then a committee of owners who make most of the decisions. So it's really important, because I've seen people buying properties where they've got no maintenance funds set up. There's no maintenance being done on a block. The committee or the owners corp don't really care. The property gets run down, or they're overcharging. The levies are too high. So it is really important, if you're buying in an apartment block, you've got to deal with those other owners all the time. And if you've only got one vote in getting maintenance done, you need to make sure that you're going into a proactive apartment block where they're actually doing work. So some owners don't want to put maintenance money away because they think it's extra money, but it's not. It's actually ensuring that everyone's putting money away to look after the block, so it's an investment.
Yeah, it's one of those misconceptions of just because you see low strata fees, you might think that's a better outcome.
But and it might not be.
If they don't have a sinking fund, if the fees aren't actually high enough, they're not looking after the block correctly, that's actually a signal that, it's not going to be well maintained over time.
No. And, I mean, I'm the chairperson on one of my properties, which is a bit of work. But I say to owners, get involved. If you want to have an outcome, you need to be involved in it. You need to put in the time to actually get to know the other owners, get to know the building, pick a good owners corporation manager. And unfortunately, you can get conflict between owners. So you need to look at the minutes if you're buying a property and see if there's any red flags in there, because if there is, you're going to be dealing with that ongoing.
And transitioning to, obviously, your role coming into FOUNDIT is the head of operations for buyer agent services. How do you approach creating a premium white glove service for our buyers agents, and by extension for their buyers as well?
Yeah, so I think the first thing which we've done is look at the process behind it, and try and put as many resources in as we can here to help the buyers agents. I mean, we really want them to just be out there dealing with their clients, looking for properties and not worrying about the back end because, as you know, any small business buyers advocates, there's so much business to run that then that takes away your focus from dealing with the clients. So that's the most important thing that we can do for our buyers advocates to help them. And just make sure that every touch point with the clients and the advocates is, first class.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that you've found really interesting and enjoyable is traditionally in other businesses that you've worked in, you want to create systems, process, compliance. You're kind of beholden to the third-party software companies in a lot of cases. Yeah. And some of the stuff that you and I have spoken about previously is the ability that you've enjoyed to be able to walk over to Meigs or turn to Meigs on the tech side and be like, can we do this? Can we implement this? Do you want to kind of explain some of those wins early days as well?
Yeah, it's amazing because, you are restricted to software that generally, I've found it amazing that there really is no software that runs a real estate business. You've got sales with one, owner's court with another, property management with one, and then, even that doesn't cover everything. So it's always a challenge to try and get it to all work together. But coming here, being able to just turn around and say, hey, can we fix this or do this? Yes, it's done straight away, which is very unusual. Yeah, in real estate.
And a good thing.
And great, it's fantastic. But probably not great for me because I keep coming up with ideas. But
that's all right. I think he enjoys it. But
it was interesting yesterday talking to new buyers advocate coming on, and she had all these things that they were doing where they work via WhatsApp, this WhatsApp group, that WhatsApp group, and we said, don't worry, it's all in the platform. You won't have to worry about any of that anymore. And she was totally amazed. So it's life-changing, really, for buyers advocates to have all of that software at their fingertips for their clients.
One of the things that we all really enjoy is, from a culture perspective, is one of the values is best idea wins, which is it doesn't matter whoever the idea comes from. It's what's best for the customer and best for the business. And, even to the point you were talking about with George yesterday of she's got some stuff that they were doing. There's some really good processes in there.
And I did finish yesterday with asking her to send everything through because I love looking at other people's processes and picking it apart and getting the best because everyone does things slightly different. I think the goal here is to take everyone's collateral and expertise and put it into one product or one service that is the best.
What's one thing that's surprised you about since you've joined at FOUNDIT?
How fast time flies.
Yeah.
I didn't realise I'd been here as long as I had to. We looked it up yesterday.
Checking yesterday, start of April, and we're like, that's gone very quick.
Feels like it was yesterday. Yeah. I just think that the team, like you said, everyone's coming up with ideas and working together and, it doesn't matter what your role is. You can look at, something else happening and have an opinion on it and it's taken seriously. There's no ego at all, which I think is quite unheard of in real estate. Everyone's just here to do their best and enjoy the process and, we're all working towards the same thing where we want to see an amazing product, an amazing company.
And the collective of the winning for everyone as opposed to an individual, which we see in a lot of real estate businesses is it's focused on a particular individual or a couple of people.
It is,
We really try and make sure, as you know, and you're a big part of it, to make sure we protect the culture we're building. And even one of the buyers agents called Joel last night from Noosa saying, I just wanted to say, like, the people inside this business, I enjoyed chatting to everyone.
Oh, that's,
which is really nice. People don't have to say that. And that's really nice to hear.
But I think traditional real estate has been built, unfortunately, on a salesperson who tends to have a lot of ego. And then, the company will pander to them because they're bringing in the sales and it's not necessarily the best thing for the culture of the business. Where, it's a very different sort of approach here.
What are some of the insights that you've seen looking, bringing the head up from looking into the Victorian market to looking more broadly into Sydney, Noosa, or Sydney, Queensland, wherever it might be?
Yeah, very different markets. Very different. And, it's great to be able to, I think the great thing about having as buyers advocates in every area is refer clients from Melbourne to there, back where most buyers advocates really just concentrate on a very small sort of area patch that they know well.
Yeah.
Where we've got the expertise everywhere now to be able to help buyers all over, especially if they're transitioning from downsizing, making the move from, Melbourne to Noosa, Sydney back. It's fantastic to have that network.
Even simple things, like I was chatting with a mortgage broker and they were saying, who were referring to us, that refer clients nationally. Previously, they were referring to multiple other buyers agents.
Yeah.
And they said the problem was, similar to the thing you're talking about property management, is if you refer to someone in Victoria, different business, it's a different experience.
Yeah.
Versus what you've built with Megs and systems and processes it's a consistent experience, regardless of whether they're transacting in Noosa or they're transacting in Melbourne.
Yeah.
They know their clients got to have the same level of experience.
Yeah, and it is important. It's even the same in real estate, like property management. You can refer to one property manager in a department and get amazing service, and then the person sitting next to them gives them terrible service. It's not only from a business point of view, it's the individuals you refer to. So I think the way we're building it is that you're really getting the best of the best buyers advocates with the backing of head office. You've got that consistency across, all states, but all advocates as well.
One of the things that I know you've been asked by some of the team is you've got all this experience in buying investment properties, buying property for yourself, running a buyer's agency. Why not be a killer buyer agent as opposed to operations?
It's interesting. I've always just loved operations. Yeah. So I can remember I had this same feeling quite a while ago and thought, all right, I should maybe try this. And I went into a presentation with a buyer's advocate, sat there with them, and I spent the whole time looking at their document that they were showing them. The way the pitch was running, and all I kept thinking about is, I can improve that. And I walked away, and I did. I went through their paperwork. Why don't we do this and that? And I thought I had no interest in, like, as much as I love helping clients.
Yeah.
My interest was more in the process.
Yeah.
And helping the buyer's advocate get to that process. So it's just always been a passion of mine. I think the back end, because I think too, a lot of real estate agents, they don't really give credit to their staff, the assistants, the receptionists, the assistant property managers. But without them, you don't have a business. You can be the best salesperson out there, but unless you've got great people underneath you running the business, you need to work together. So I've always been really passionate about that.
I think one of the things that we make sure we're very clear on at Headco is who is our customer. Yeah. Our customer is actually our buyers agents. Yeah. If we deliver great service to them, by extension, they deliver great service to their buyers as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, and even under the buyers advocates, or not under them, but behind them, the staff that are providing them with the resources to do their job, everyone's just as important as each other.
Yeah. Last question, just before we wrap up. We'll definitely have you on again, but give us some advice for someone who's thinking about getting into a leadership role, into an operations role, running people.
Yep.
What would be some leadership advice you give to people?
I think you do really need to be able to read people. I think that's a big skill. Some people just come in and treat everyone exactly the same, or want them to operate the same way they do. Everyone operates differently.
Yeah.
I think you've got to really understand what motivates people, how to get the best out of them. So I think that's a skill that you need to really look for. And I think you really need to want to help people. It's not about, I'm in charge here, do as I say. I think you've really got to have that desire to help people do the best in their job and grow. And I have ex-staff calling me. I could stay in contact with so many of them, and I've just kept really good relationships with them. And I love seeing what they've gone on to do.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, they don't stay with you, it's fantastic that they move on to better positions or other positions.
Yeah.
So I think you really need to have an interest, and you've got to keep learning.
Yeah.
You have to. Someone said to me once, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards.
Yeah.
And I've always sort of kept that in my mind, that you need to keep learning, keep trying each day to sort of take on new experiences or learn things to stay in leadership.
That's
because
great.
If you don't, someone underneath you will learn more, which is great too. But you always need to be pushing yourself.
Yeah, great advice. And again, we're so excited to have you on board, even though it's been a couple of months. It's gone very quick. But thanks so much, and we're excited for what happens next.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing the the company just continue to evolve. But at this stage, it's been amazing, and I think we're going to make a massive change in buyers advocacy in Australia.
Definitely, already are.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.